My name is Lauren-Blair Donovan. I often go by just Blair because Lauren-Blair is a mouthful. I'm a comedian, writer, actress, and puppeteer, but we're not going to be talking about any of that today because we're going to be talking about death. Or specifically, the grief one feels after the death of a loved one. What makes me so qualified to talk about such a fragile and sensitive topic? Well, sadly, both my parents have died, as have all my grandparents. A couple of my really close friends have also died. Plus, I've lost a slew of relatives. And there was even a bunch of death that happened when I was very young, and I think that kind of imprinted on me. So basically, I've walked through a lot of different categories of grief. What really struck me as interesting, as well as frankly a little depressing, was that after my mom passed away 2.5 years ago, people were just as bad at trying to handle my grief, interpret my grief, fix my grief. You can't fix grief. You just can't. It's a natural process. As they were when my dad died when I was a teenager. Now, I'm a lady, so I don't want to reveal my age. It's 53. All women lie about their age in Hollywood. Don't ask questions. But I haven't been a teenager in a minute or two. Considering what great strides we've made in that time to better understand the LGBTQ plus community, those afflicted with mental illnesses, all other kinds of communities, cultures, and so forth, I was a bit stunned to find out how afraid we are of death still and all the emotions that come with it. What's curious to me is that we should be making great strides to better understand death, the mechanics of grief, how death impacts people, and what grief even looks like. Like, every single one of us should be doing this. Why? Because we're all gonna die. Like, don't shoot the messenger here. Sorry for the bad news. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So this means we're all gonna be grieving someone at some point in our life. And if you never grieve anyone, it means you're the unlucky one. Why? It means that you died in your life before anyone else could. Now that we have those unpleasant pleasantries out of the way, blech, I thought I should just own the fact that I am Tragedy Girl, share my experiences, and try to normalize a topic that we way too often as a society and culture label as morbid, despite the fact that death is a part of life and there's nothing morbid about a fact of life, but that's just me, whatever. A year ago, I tried to start a podcast also called Good Grief, and I even taped 4 episodes where I interviewed other comedians who had also been through some kind of life-changing loss, but for various reasons, I opted, at least so far, to not release those episodes and to not continue to record anymore for the time being, at least. One of my reasons might be kind of obvious in that despite being lousy with comedians to talk to, I'm not necessarily lousy with comedians who have been through life-changing loss. What happened to Tears of a Clown Complex, guys? So despite having filmed 4 and maybe having another 8 that I could have filmed, I realized I was gonna be tapped out rather quickly, and while I'm not against shorter podcasts, I wanted this to have a little bit more legs, and I just opted to maybe wait, because the other reason being is that I was stunned at how much I had in common with the people that I interviewed, and yet how different our journeys were. And I was very afraid of accidentally hijacking their stories. After all, I'm not a therapist. I'm exploring my own thoughts and feelings through this, and some people had even night and day different experiences and emotions surrounding a death like what I had been through, like their dad dying. While I think the episodes were actually really good and probably could help people, and I'm not against releasing those or even continuing having a podcast like that in the future one day, it just felt like I was in maybe murky waters because I wanted to handle everyone's stories with the utmost sensitivity. Some people are also understandably shy about talking about their experiences. Not only are we not used to talking about death as a culture, so I think some people got a little camera shy about talking about their own experiences. I also think that people sometimes don't explore the own depths of their emotions. So I didn't want to like accidentally exploit anybody who was having like aha moments while we were recording, or were kind of on the fence about what to share or not to share. And so between knowing that I was going to be kind of tapped out sooner than later with potential interviewees, and between not really being sure if I was out of my league trying to get people to talk about such a personal thing, I decided to kind of shelf it indefinitely. So that brings us to now, and unless you've been under a rock, now seems to be a pretty terrible time for everyone. Thanks, COVID-19. Obviously, people are losing people as the death toll rises each day, and I've also known an unusual amount of people who have lost their parents not relating to COVID in 2020. Huh. Guess just because there's a literal plague running amok doesn't mean that people don't die of natural causes too. Weird. Even if you haven't lost someone this year, A, you're very lucky, but B, I think everyone's grieving something this year, as life, I think, is not what anyone expected when the ball dropped at midnight going into 2020. So I thought I'd throw my hat into the video essay ring and talk about my experiences and thoughts on death and loss, talk about the hurdles that come up in that process, for both the sake of those of you who have lost someone, but also for the sake of those of you who are watching your friends, your significant other, anyone in your life that's important lose someone, maybe for the first time, and you feel like it's above your pay grade and you don't know how to handle them. There's probably no better time in our lifetime, hopefully this is as bad as it gets, to start talking about grief. So Tragedy Girl is here to help, guys. Some topics I'm planning on discussing in this series, Good Grief, are misconceptions that people have about grieving, how misplaced emotions work, how long does it take to grieve, why the holidays are hard, my tips for getting through grief, how to handle a grieving person, and so many videos on what not to do or say to somebody who's grieving, because there's so many ways that you can like make a grieving person feel worse that it's actually kind of funny, you know? Actually, it's really not, trust me. So I want to make it clear before I let you guys go that my take on grieving and my experiences are not the end all be all like gospel on what grief is like. I am one person, I've had a couple experiences with it, but there's been differences even within those experiences. So if you're watching and you don't relate to what I'm saying, if you lost a parent, that's okay. Your feelings are valid. That's actually one of the central theses of this entire series. Whatever you're feeling, it is valid. I'm honestly just trying to normalize a dialogue or kickstart a dialogue that hopefully will help normalize how we process and talk about grief in the future. Because as I've said, we're all gonna die. It's dumb that we don't talk about this. So the buck does not stop here. What I have to say is not the law of the land. I have found that a lot of the things that I have to say do tend to have a lot of common ground, and I've read up on the subject, and I can sometimes speak to what psychologists say or what I've read or so on and so forth. But to each their own. I'm just trying to help humanize what the grief process is like, normalize it, which will hopefully help enough people better understand their emotions or their loved ones' emotions. And let's all get through this together, guys. That's all I want. Again, I am Lauren-Blair Donovan. Please like, subscribe, comment on the kind of topics you would want me to talk about in this. I have a huge list of topics I already have in mind, but I know I have not hit the bottom of the well there yet. I know that there are stuff that I am just not naturally going to think of. So I welcome any questions. I welcome any ideas. And you're welcome to please follow me on Instagram or Twitter. That's on Instagram, Blairosaurus_Rex, because I am part dinosaur, duh. Twitter, it's the same thing, just no underscore, Blairosaurus Rex. And I promise to not spam you guys with boring food photos. I try to be entertaining, as comedians and entertainers should. Whatever, that's a whole other topic for another time. So please subscribe, follow me on social media. so you'll know when I post more videos. Please stay tuned. I got your back. I want to help you feel normal about your feelings or help you know how to help your friends. So please subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.